Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I had to share another special holiday recipe. In today's video, I'm going to be making a holiday sponge cake or a marbled sponge cake. This one is going to be that sponge cake that you usually see people make with the colors swirled on the inside. And I thought it would be something festive, beautiful, and also delicious to serve for this holiday season. So if you want to see how I make this soft and fluffy cake, please keep on watching. So the ingredients for this cake are actually very simple. We're going to start off in my stand mixer by putting in a stick of unsalted softened butter, and we're also going to go in with some canola oil. Now I'm using oil and butter for my cake today because I find that it gives you a fluffier cake. It's not really the traditional Guyanese sponge cake because I know a lot of times when people make sponge cake, especially with me and my family, we just use butter. Butter will give you a more heavy and a denser cake, which is not necessarily bad, but I really wanted something that was going to be very light and very fluffy, so the oil is going to do that for me. Now once I add in the two fats, I'm going to go in with the sugar. I'm using granulated sugar, but if you wanted to use the demerara cane sugar or brown sugar, you can use that as well. So I'm just going to close this. I'm going to put it on a medium speed and I'm going to beat it for about 5 to 6 minutes or until it is light and fluffy and it puffs up. And while my butter and sugar are creaming together in my stand mixer, I'm going to start on my dried ingredients. So in my bowl here, I have some all-purpose flour. I'm going in with some baking powder. That's going to give it a nice fluffiness. And I'm also going to go in with a little pinch of salt just to balance out all of the flavors and the sweetness of the cake. And I'm also going to go in with some freshly grated nutmeg. Now, if you didn't want to add in nutmeg and you wanted to swap it out for other spices or flavorings, feel free to do so because the flavorings for this cake totally depend on your own taste and your preferences. After about 5 to 6 minutes of creaming that butter, sugar, and oil, you're going to see how light, fluffy, and just how beautiful it looks in there. So once you get to this stage after that 5 to 6 minutes, you are going to go in with some Guyanese mixed essence. If you didn't want to use mixed essence and all you had was like vanilla extract or almond extract or anything else like that, you can go in with them at this point. Again, like I said before, when I was talking about the spices and the nutmeg, you can put in whatever flavoring agent you want. So once I go in with this, I'm going to beat it in just a little bit and I'm going to start streaming in my eggs. Now I am using 6 eggs today. I put them in my little measuring cup here and I beat them really well just so they can combine. I find that when you pre-beat the eggs and then put it into this mixture a little bit at a time, it comes together even better. So I'm going to continue to mix and throw in the eggs in little additions, maybe like 2 or 3 tablespoons at a time until it is well mixed in with the butter, the sugar, and the oil and that vanilla extract. After I went in with all of my eggs, I went ahead and I just lifted up that stand mixer and I scraped down the sides really well. The reason why you want to scrape down the sides is just to make sure that everything gets evenly combined. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to add in my dried ingredients. And like I said with my light fruit cake in my previous video, I like to add in my dried ingredients in 2 different batches. The reason being is because I find that it mixes much more evenly into all of the wet ingredients. After mixing in my first batch of my dried ingredients, I'm going to go ahead and add in my second batch of dried ingredients. Now all I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to put my stand mixer down and leave it on a low speed and just mix it in until I do not see any more dried flour. You do not want to beat this mixture anymore because when you add the flour in and you beat it too much, it develops the glutens and that'll give you a very tough cake in the end and you do not want that. So once you get to this stage and all you see is a little bit of dried flour at the edge, you can go in, scrape it down, and then you can give it one last mix and your batter is done. Remember, like I said, do not overmix. And as I said in the beginning of this video, this is a marbled or a colored sponge cake. So I went ahead and in 2 separate bowls, I added in about 3/4 of a cup of that batter into each bowl. And I'm gonna color them red and I'm gonna color one green. The reason why I'm doing that obviously is just because of the Christmas colors and the holiday season. But if you wanted to experiment with any other colors, be my guest and do so. So once I add the food colorings in, I'm just gonna mix it in really well until I get my desired color. And then we can start to layer these into our cake pan. So I have an 8-inch cake pan that I've gone ahead and I've greased with butter, and then I added in some flour and I dusted the edges really well until the entire cake pan was coated. You want to do this to ensure that your cake slides out when it's done baking. Now if you didn't want to do this and you wanted to use parchment paper, feel free to do so. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to add in half of the white batter that I had left in my bowl. Remember, we had the white batter in one bowl and then we had taken some out to make the red and green part. So I'm going to take about half of that white layer and I'm going to put it at the bottom and just spread it out really well. Once I go in with that white layer, I'm going to start to dollop on my red and my green all around the sides of the cake. You don't really want to mix the red and the green too much and get it all melded together, or else they will mix and it'll make an ugly color. You want it to be nice and beautiful and swirled when it's done, so take your time and just layer them in carefully. As you guys can see, I'm going on with the red first, then I'm going to go on with my green, and I'll show you what to do next. Once you go in with your red and green dollops all over the cake on top of the white layer, you're going to go in with the rest of your white cake batter. This is using up the rest of the batter that we have in the bowl. So you just want to get it on top, so this way you have a mix of the white, the red, and the green all over. And once you get that put on top, you're going to go in with a knife, or you can use a toothpick or a fork for this, and you're going to go ahead and just swirl it very carefully. As you guys can see, I'm just swirling it about 3 times going up and down, and then I'm swirling it 3 times going crossways as well, just so this way I can get some nice swirls on the inside without mixing everything together and getting the colors to mix too much. If you were to mix this up too much and over swirl it, then it'll end up being a brown cake, because when you mix red and green, it comes out to be a brown color. And once you finish swirling your cake, all you're going to go ahead and do is give it a little shimmy, and you're going to tap it down just a few times, so this way you can smoothen out the top. You don't want to spread it out with a spatula on top to smoothen it, or else the colors are going to mix too much. Now in my preheated 350-degree oven, I put a little tray or a little oven-proof bowl filled with some boiling hot water. On top of that, I'm going to be putting the cake on the shelf right above. What this does is it creates steam in the oven, and it allows the cake to not dry out and be tough. So all I'm going to do is pop my cake in, and I'm going to let it sit in that oven at 350 degrees for about 40 minutes, or until a toothpick is inserted and that toothpick comes out clean. And once your cake comes out of the oven, you want to allow it to cool in the pan for just about a couple of minutes until it comes up to room temperature. And then once it is cooled down a bit, you can go ahead and transfer it onto a cake pedestal or another plate or something, and you can cut into it. So I just wanted to show you guys as I'm cutting into this, it cuts really, really well. It is not hard to cut at all. It doesn't fall apart. And when you cut it open, it is beautiful on the inside. Not only are you seeing all of those colored layers that we anticipated when we made this cake, but you're also seeing how fluffy and beautiful the cake is. It has a beautiful crumb to it, and honestly, it is everything you want a good cake to be. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a nice big thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed yet. Go ahead and click that little bell notification icon next to the subscribe button, and you'll be notified every time I post one of these awesome cooking videos, and you can keep leaving your comments down below. I hope each and every one of you guys has a beautiful holiday season, a safe holiday season, and I'll see you guys again very soon with one of my newest recipes.